Welcome to Instructions Unclear, where we talk about everything World of Warcraft. And today we will be talking about the current state of BFA, what we thought about the expansion, and the super exciting release date confirmation for Shadowlands. I am Lotus. I've been playing WoW for almost 15 years, and we're going to talk about some PvE and just where the game's at currently. This over here is Shrub Heights.
Hey, been playing for probably about the same time, at least 15 years since vanilla.
Okay. So, um, where are we starting at here? Shrub you. Where are we starting at?
Where
Okay, so BFA. What have you thought about the expansion so far? I didn't get to raid a whole lot in the middle of it, but yeah, what do you think about the beginning?
yeah, I didn't. I'd have to say I didn't raid in the middle of it, but I've enjoyed the expansion so far. I did, Uldir and Battle for Dazar'alor. Really, really liked Dazar'alor. I thought it's one of my top 5 raids of all times for sure. Um, and I personally, I've kind of liked everything they've done. It's a little grindy, a little unalt friendly, but I mean, when has WoW not been grindy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
Oh,
it's a game to grind. That's what it was made for. And I'm kind of the same. Like I got to raid Old Deer. I did not get to do Dazara Lore, which I wish I would have because, talking with you, you said that is like one of your favorite raids of all times. And then after that, I didn't come back until Nyalotha, so I didn't really get to see any of the raid content in there. But I thought that Old Deer was really well done. Like I know there's a lot of people that said that it was a super easy raid tier, and but for a first raid tier, what do you expect? First raid tier going into an expansion, it's got to be somewhat, something to cut your teeth on,
yep,
for new players or old players.
yeah. No, I thought it was good. I wouldn't put it as anything, necessarily noteworthy, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Not complaining about it.
right.
I've seen Eternal Palace since kind of after the fact. I
Yeah,
didn't. I came back and
yeah. There's been those times
current
that
stuff,
like
but
even our group has went in there, maybe a time or two or whatever that we got to see it, but you don't really get the feeling for a dungeon unless you did it at content. So it's like,
yeah,
it's okay, but
that was pretty much my opinion. You cheese a little too much of the strats to really get a feel for
right.
what it is.
At the point we're at now, like even Nyalotha, we're just kind of zerging things. There's a lot of times where we're just not doing mechanics and just zerging it, especially in normal.
Oh yeah,
So, did you have any favorite fights or any memorable fights in Old Deer?
I liked Mother. I thought that was cool. The transition through the room. I thought the hero or doing it on Mythic, the cheese strats,
Yeah.
with dropping Spirit Link and Darkness and just like everyone bust across
Yep.
was quite entertaining to coordinate and pull off.
See, I always say that there's a lot of bosses that you'll see the mechanics come through, and Mother's one of them that I don't think I've ever really seen previously. Like it's from room to room, something different happening. Yeah, like phase to phase, of course, something different happens, but there's that transition from each room that you have to go through to get to that next, whatever extra uh, situation you're put in. So yeah, that's definitely a cool fight. I I think Gahoon was my favorite in there though. He was
Yeah,
oh so
that
fun,
was that was a good one.
especially on heroic. I never did it mythic, but on heroic, like the Gahoon fight was it was something that you actually had to have a group that was willing to put in the time to do, or demon hunters that knew what they were doing. Like one or the other. Like if you had some demon hunters that knew what they were doing, you were good.
Well,
Our
that was one I pugged because I family stuff. I
right,
never have committed to a raid team in God knows how many years,
right,
and I pugged heroic, and that was interesting going. the different groups you would end up with. Like you'd have a great run all the way through the raid, and then you get there and it would just fall apart because people couldn't be bothered to put the time in to figure it out.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the issue we had. You know, I was in a guild. Well, I wasn't in a guild. I was in a community. We didn't actually have a guild. We were all from different servers and didn't actually know each other. But we got together on a pug one night and started running together. And that was our problem. Was we would get people that were, you know, interested in trying to do it, and then they would leave after 2 wipes because they weren't interested in actually taking the time to learn running those balls. You know, and
Yep.
it made it tough. It was a good fight though. Like it was mechanically, I thought it was an interesting fight. You see that coming back in Nyalotha with the, you know, the two sides whenever you're on Carapace. And whenever I first seen that, I was like, oh, they're pulling this from Gahoon, like going up this side, going up that side. Pretty cool.
But even like in Dazara Lord, Jaina's one of my favorite fights of all time. Like I mean, the raid I thought was good in general. I thought it was fun, but the Jaina fight specifically was just a ton of fun to do.
Yeah. See, I watched that tier, but I never. I still to this day, I've never even been in there. Never seen it. Don't know honestly anything about any of the bosses before Jaina, but I remember watching World First and the amount of time that they were on Jaina and watching that fight over and over and over. It
It's
did look
the
good.
cheese strats for doing Mythic Jaina now is comical with the gear being,
Yeah,
2 tiers ahead.
yeah. You were
You still need
saying
a solid group.
you don't interrupt the
Yeah,
ice storm or the
you just
blizzard.
you just sit in the storm and just bust the icicles out real quick.
Yeah, just go with it.
Yeah,
You,
so it's a little upsetting going and doing Mythic Jaina now, but
so did you get to do any of that? Were you just into heroic, or did you get to do any of that on Mythic? In
I think I did the first 2 bosses on Mythic. That's all I ever typically do is the first 2 or 3 bosses on Mythic. I don't
right, yeah, same.
raid Mythic.
Just don't have time. Just
Yeah.
too much going on. Um, yeah, I think that the raids so far have so far. I mean, we're at the end. I think that they've been great. I can't. Whenever I came back, I was excited that this was. I kind of lost track of WoW. After Jaina. You know, I watched Eternal Palace a little bit, but I wasn't like glued to the screen watching every pull. So after that, coming back and seeing that it's an old god, I was like, oh my god, dude, I gotta get this AOTC. Like I have to. It's an old god. Like I've been there whenever we were fighting Yogg, and no, I wasn't there whenever we fought Cthulhu, but like Yogg, I can remember pulling on Yogg every week over and over, just trying to kill it. So this one was like super exciting for me.
Yeah, I thought I think they've done really good with the raids so far for this expansion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I mean,
Uh,
I run it at least 3 times a week now at this point.
yeah,
Still
yeah, I
between guild
run.
runs and me going in randomly during whenever on alts.
Yeah, I think I'm running 2 full clears a week. Um, and I haven't really been messing with my other alts. I guess I'm kind of just waiting for repatch to really get back into my alt play because, like you said earlier, like there's not a whole lot of alt play right now. It's just that's something we could definitely talk about is like where alt play is because, oof,
You can have multiple mains, no alts.
exactly. It's so true
I know
though.
you meme about me,
Yeah,
but
no, but
yeah,
it's
no,
true.
I've got 3 mains.
You can't play without it being your main. Like I've pretty much at this point changed over to Demon Hunter. Like I'm playing it pretty much constantly because my monk's done, but if you're not going to play that tune over and over and over again, it's kind of pointless because you're not going to
Yeah,
get your echoes, you're not going to get your essences like and it's kind of a feels bad man because I have tunes that I want to play, but they're benched because I can't put the time into them that I need to. So I'm
yeah. I think
hoping things change.
I just queued up a bunch of tunes to be pre-patch ready when corruptions are gone.
Right.
I think I've got my 3 mains that are all 470 or whatever. but then I've got another 3 or 4 tunes that are all like 445, 450 range with
Right.
no corruption. That it's just like, well, when pre-patch comes, you'll be useful.
Yeah. So, um, you do really well on like all your alt tunes, like really, really well. Like, and I just don't know because I feel like I get on like my warlock, and yeah, she's only like 425 or 430, but I can't. I just not gonna happen. Like I can't do the damage. I can't. And maybe it's just where warlock is right now. Like maybe that's the thing. But I just can't get it to where I feel like I'm even having fun because I seriously feel like I'm being carried constantly.
But aren't you playing Affliction?
No, I was playing destruction, and
Oh,
I
okay.
just can't. Like my numbers in affliction are higher right now, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I played a bit of Destro on
yeah,
him. Had a good time with it. It seemed a little low, but I also didn't put that much effort into gearing him up.
right.
But that was good. I think the only one I've struggled with is Unholy Death Knight. Everything else I've done at least marginally okay with.
Unholy. Yeah, but you never really like made that commitment either. Like you
No, I
kind of
played
were
it for
starting to, and then you were like,
3 days.
nah, I'm good. I'm all right. Is it because they're slow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I can't do it either. I got my Death Knight to like 90, and I was just like, no, nope, can't do it. Not gonna happen.
Yeah, he was a Blood DK season 1 for Mythic Plus.
Yeah,
Got him to 120, ran like 3 dungeons, benched him and went and re-rolled Monk.
and yeah, I mean, you go to Monk
Uh,
and you're pretty much done though. Like, well,
yeah.
for me, anyways. Like, I went to Monk and I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, this is my main forever. Over.
Yeah, I played Monk and Rogue through the first 2 tiers and then came back and did Monk and Demon Hunter.
Yeah,
Now Shadow Priest, so
yeah. No, I Monk's definitely top tier for me. And now Demon Hunter, like I know you've said that you know, Demon Hunter for you, like it can get kind of repetitive in raids, but in Mythic Plus, like tanking on a Demon Hunter is so fun.
even DPS on a Demon Hunter and Mythic Plus is fun. The stuns, the interrupts, the movement, like
Just constant.
it's a good time.
Yeah.
Raids, it's just boring because there's 4 buttons. I'm sorry, it's a 4 button class,
I mean 3 if you
and
remove one.
yeah, and so you end up sitting there, just being like, okay, just gonna press my 4 buttons till something happens.
Yeah.
Like, during progression, it's not nearly as bad because you're trying to figure out the fight, you're trying to get timings
Right.
down. But once you've out geared, or everyone's chasing that last drop, kind of pushing as high as you're gonna push with your gear. Kind of a boring class for raids
Yeah.
when you're not struggling.
Yeah. And yeah, I could definitely see that. That's kind of where a lot of us are getting to right now cuz there is there's a drought right now, if you will. Like we don't have anything new that's come out, and we're waiting on the next thing. And I know that there's people in guild that are, and not just our guild, but I'm sure other guilds everywhere are having the same problem where people are just like not logging on because they're waiting. Like we're all
Yeah,
waiting. We're all excited and pumped for Shadowlands, but we'll get into that here in a little
when
bit.
it's part of the problem, it's that alt friendliness. It's the grind to get to the point where we're not carrying something in heroic
Yeah,
is kind of rough. Like
yeah,
I was able to do it just more circumstantially, being home all day,
right.
and it's one of those, like, you just can't put the time in to gear up a second tune without, like you said, you abandon your first tune
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the one you were playing.
yeah. Like I've heard you say, or myself, I've done it. You know, whenever I was switching to my monk, like, and I was trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna main my monk, but I'm gonna keep my druid going. Like, I'm gonna keep it, and it seriously, I don't know if it just slips your mind or you're enjoying this other tune so much that you're just like, ah, I forgot to run a key on this week. You log on and there's no, you didn't get a key, you don't get no loot, you don't get no new key. And I know I fall into this where it's like, well, am I really gonna play it? I guess I'll just leave it sit. Like, it's okay, I'm good.
So I think at one point the most I was trying to carry and gear up at once was 5 tunes, and keep running mythic pluses, keep
On
going on
5
everything.
tunes? No.
And it just sucked. Like that was too much, and it was like, okay. I did that for a couple weeks, and I was like, yeah, we're not even gonna bother with that anymore.
Yeah.
And so you just start dropping them, and you pick which ones you like, which ones you have fun, and you go, okay, we'll push this one hard, and I'll do this one on the side. Doing 2 isn't bad.
Right.
If you're like, this is gonna be my main, and this guy, I'll once I finish everything on my main, I'll do what I can on this guy, but you don't make it a priority.
Right.
And eventually you'll get there with them. But it yeah, no more than 2, and it was just annoying.
Yeah. So you said that you don't like running Demon Hunter in raids, but dungeons are something you enjoy running it on. Is there any specific dungeon that you have in mind that you like to run more than any other?
That's a good one. That's actually a tough one. I think my my favorite dungeon, Siege of Borealis.
No, that's so gross. Like, no,
I think
how?
it's such a cool dungeon. It's so rough to run though. Like especially pugging stuff, it's a brutal one. Otherwise I'd say it's Motherlode and Junkyard are probably the most fun because they're not brutal on you.
Right.
There you can go in, you can blast, like you're not one step away from ruining it when you're doing it.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the other ones, that doesn't mean the other ones aren't fun. They're a little more stressful, I guess.
So I think that my favorite, there's like a really hard tie for me of my favorite dungeon to tank. It used to be Waycrest Manor. Like, that was end all be all.
What's wrong with you?
Dude, it was my favorite. It was my favorite.
I hate that place.
And now, whenever I came back this time, I'm just like we were running 10s. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I was playing in Old Deer, like, we were running 10s and like 12s. Now we're back, and it's like I see a 15 or a 14 with Tyrannical, and we go in there, and I'm like, yeah, this is terrible. This is like the absolute worst thing ever. So I think between the two, it would have to be Freehold and Atoll Czar.
I can see that. Freehold's good. It's
Freehold's
up there for
fun.
sure.
I like that you can. Oh, I don't know. King's Rest is up there too. As a tank, King's Rest is so fun because the pathing that you can do with Awaken in King's Rest, in Atoll Czar, and in Freehold, you have so many different ways you can go and pull things. It's a lot of fun.
I can agree with that. I don't like King's Rest.
Really?
I like the dungeon. I think it's cool. It's not in one that I like. I go out of my way to chase one down.
See, I won't pass one up. Like, it could be a 2, and somebody be like, yo, you want to go do King's Rest? Except, let's talk about this. Except the fact that those stupid little shades burst.
That Mass Dispel was brutal. I was not prepared for that.
Like, what is that? Why would you do that? Why would you make it so that those, of everything that's in there, like, the little rats in Freehold don't burst?
Yeah. There's no way to deal with it that I can think of.
There's not. I mean, I guess you could be like, yo, everybody pop your biggest, if you had hunters and a demon hunter, and you could all of you pop your defensives, but
just for fucking dispellable,
right,
little shits.
It's that is so rough, and you can't range, from what I've seen. Now, I'm sure we'll find out in the comments if you can, but you can't range from what I've seen bursting. It seems like it's if you can, it's a very far range.
That's my understanding. It's like way out there.
I guess I can take that back because whenever you guys in Freehold, if I'm up on the platform to the first boss, whenever we take the Awaken, if I'm up on the platform with the first boss and you guys are down at the beginning still killing ads, I don't get bursting. But
Yeah.
that's, I mean, that's a distance.
Oh yeah.
So
There's not an easy way to range bursting.
right. So yeah, that is, that's the only thing that I can complain about. That, and they also bolster, like they bolster and they burst. So that's rough.
Yeah.
I think that they need to change bursting to something that can be killed. Like make it things that can be killed. You can't even hit those. Like
That's true.
we had our hunters like shooting at them, and I believe you even started trying to kill them too, and they take no damage. They either hit you or they get
Yep.
dispelled, and that's it.
Yep.
So that's rough.
But I think that happens kind of every expansion.
Oh yeah,
Is you end up with some weird combination of things that everyone's just like, really? You let that go?
yeah, right. Like these little rats that we just killed didn't burst, but the things that you really can't do anything to stop, like yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
I think that all the dungeons were really well made. I seen my first really big glitchy dungeon run ever, like the other day. You were there. Like it was it the other day or was it today? Was it today?
It was the other day.
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
Like seriously the worst glitches I've seen in
Mm-hmm.
any of the dungeons since the beginning of the X Pack.
Well, that's so it was told to Gore, and it was we're pretty sure it was the little tentacles from the corruption pop up on the wrong floor.
Yeah.
I've seen Twilight Dev go through a wall once or twice
Right.
and pull a room, and you're standing there, and all of a sudden, 20 mobs come running up
Yeah.
because they aggroed everything on the
Right
way.
around the corner. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's that one. That one made sense, I guess, in the way Twilight Dev works. He shot it through a wall, whatever. But that run we did was just brutal.
Yeah, it was really bad. During our little MDI tournament that we did, we seen one other glitch or bug in there where we pulled the blob awaken, we kited it up to the first floor, and as we were kiting across the threshold of the last like little floor into the square room at the
Yeah.
end, it glitched through the floor and fell down like to the bottom floor and killed the people that were down there killing the eyes. It instantly killed all of them and then started running back up to me. So I think that's the most like because we've been running a lot of keys the past week, and I think that's the most I've seen any really bad glitches in any of the dungeons.
It's always with the multiple floor dungeons, though.
It is, you're not wrong. And it's always with stairs. Stairs are
Yep.
always a problem. Um I just don't think maybe it's the engine that just can't do that. Like I don't know what it is, but there's always a problem with like do you remember Vault of Archivon? Wintergrass Parade?
Yeah.
Like there was a spot where you had like two ads that were down like 3 stairs, and if the tank pulled them and they were at the bottom of the stairs, now this was way early so it could have been fixed later, but if they were down the stairs, the 3 stairs that were there, the healers were out of they couldn't hit the tanks. So it was like literally like 3 stairs and that you couldn't hit the tank. So it was like so
But
yeah.
I can't say that I'd give Blizzard a whole lot of credit for doing stairs or inclines correctly.
Right. They've done
You
a
go
lot of
into
things correct though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you go into like Nyalotha and some of the downhill sections,
Yeah.
you can't see the AoE that the ads are doing.
Yep.
Can't tell you're standing in it.
Nope. No. Like it's like it stops at whatever level they're on. If you're under
Yeah.
it, you're under it. I mean, you still take full damage, but
Oh yeah.
you're under it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So what do you think of the zones that were in BFA?
I liked them.
You like
The
the questing zones?
only one I didn't care for was Drustvar.
Yeah. I really don't care for Tier Guard.
That's my favorite.
See, I'm not a
Uh,
fan. I loved Zoldazar. I thought that was really good.
yep.
I like the Volpera, so Voldoon was great.
One sec.
You're good.
Barking at ghosts.
Voldoon I thought was really good. Just because I liked the whole, you know, um, Volpera theme over there. I even said at the beginning of the X
Agreed.
Pack, I was like, "Yo, I want to be one of these Fox people." Like that is, and then now you can. Um,
Yep.
where else was there?
Nazmir. I didn't like Nazmir.
Yeah, I didn't like Nazmir.
The
Nazmir was
story through it was decent. It was better than Drustvar, but I didn't care for it.
the whole Gahoon thing. Like I thought that he was a great raid boss, but I just all the quests and stuff over in Nazmir were very Gahoon related, and it was
Yep.
just very meh. It was okay.
Yeah.
Um,
The Drustvar was just go save this town from this witch, go save that town from that witch. Like it was
yeah,
very repetitive. I liked the Proudmoore Admiralty like storyline
yeah,
through Tierguard Sound. I thought was really cool. I liked a lot of the quests and things you did there. Same with the Zuldazar one for Horde.
yeah. The
That quest and
oh,
Voldoon.
Voldoon was
Oh,
great. That was my
I
favorite.
would, yeah, I would say Drustvar and Nazmir were kind of they feel like they were the last ones. They were kind of
Grasping.
not necessarily rushed,
Yeah,
but they just didn't put the effort into them compared to the other ones.
great. Uh, I I would probably agree. I was not a huge fan of. I didn't like Nazmir, and then coming over to the Alliance side, like over on Horde side, you know, you, Nazmir's like a normal place that you go. Um, Alliance side, it was Drustvar was my Nazmir. I was like, I don't really want to do this, but I got to.
Yep.
And then I thought that Mechagon, I thought that they did really well with that. I thought that that felt very engineer based. Like everything that you did, gathering bolts and nuts and bolts and spare parts and making, all of the things to make your mounts, and like I thought they did a great job over there. I liked their dungeons over there. And then for me, Nazjatar just kind of was like I just
Yep.
oh, I hated it. Hated doing Nazjatar.
I enjoyed Mechagon. I thought that was a fun. I thought that was a good thing or done well.
Right.
I guess the story, everything you're doing there, and same Nazjatar was just like I could go without this place, especially before flying.
Right.
Holy shit, that place was designed to make you want flying. Like
And
you
and
just
that's where I was I started questing there after you could have flying, and I was like, everybody's flying over top of me. I'm like, dude, just pick me up, give me a ride. Like I got to go over 6 mountains.
You mean you have to go over and under 6 mountains?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you
Well,
never
you're
know
not wrong.
what level the
Right.
quest is
It,
on.
yeah, it was bad. It was a well designed area for that reason, though. For people that were like,
Yeah,
I'm not really gonna worry about getting my flying, and then they seen that over there, and they were like, I really need to. I just really got to get it. It's bad.
yeah, yeah.
So
That one only the Azurite trait. That's the only reason I went back to that place once I got flying
Azurite trait,
or essence.
essence, yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, Azurite traits, huh? Talk about
I think
those,
it's a cool concept. I
right?
like I like the idea of it. The problem is you end up there's no way to balance it. You always end up with your BIS traits,
Right.
what everyone chases, whatever. very few classes have the ability to switch what they're running.
Right. Well, I mean,
So it
every one of them is like you have your BIS traits that you run, and then you've got Heart of Darkness.
yeah.
It's like you either run your BIS traits or you keep your corruption up and you run Heart of Darkness.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess there is two different builds, but most of it is either this or that. Like that's what you get.
It was cool. I think it's cool when you're leveling
Yeah.
and when you're gearing up to get into raiding and like Mythic Plus, because there's not the need for the meta build. Like
Right.
you don't have to chase your BIS stuff because it's gonna. So there's fun things in it and cool little things that can change or whatever. But at the end of the day, once you hit the raid or Mythic Plus, you just end up going to what's best,
Right.
and you end up chasing what's best. So it's kind of the amount of times I bought the random Azerite gear and scrapped it because it didn't have the traits I needed.
I'm
You're
still
just
doing
like, yeah,
that.
I'm gonna. There's no point to this. Like it's a DPS loss, even though it's a item level increase.
And that feels bad. Like that is something that I have to say about this X pack feels bad is the gear upgrades that we get that as like me personally as a monk tank or as a demon hunter tank, like we want certain stats. But it's also said that if you're a tank you need higher stamina. So you either take the higher stamina piece of a 480, right? You get your Azurite gear and it doesn't have a couple of the things that you need. So you take the stat increase over what you need, or you take what you need and don't go with the stat increase. And it just feels not good. Like I just don't like that.
Yeah, when and corruption just compounds the problem.
Yeah.
Like my priest, I've hit the point I've stacked all my corruption on. I've got I don't know how many freaking severe threes on there and an expedient, and it's one of those like my stats are where I need to be, but if I get a replacement piece because there doesn't have the right
Why not? You got
corruption
to
on it,
wait 3 weeks.
yeah, I gotta wait for it to roll around
Yeah.
or for pre-patch.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and that's another feels bad. I don't know if you're doing it on any of your tunes, but I know me personally, I'm getting pieces that don't have corruption, and I'm like, this is actually an upgrade whenever corruption goes away.
my demon hunter, I've already done it. I simmed out a no corruption build. Like I
Yeah,
have all the stuff because that my demon hunter wouldn't stop getting weapons.
yeah,
I've got like 470 weapons that they don't beat the unguent crest or whatever, and so it's just I got a bunch of gear that is waiting but doesn't have what I need on it. So
yeah. As soon as the corruption goes away, you'll have something to fill in the
swap to
spot.
it.
Yeah, and that's how
My
a lot of
priest
classes seem.
shouldn't matter because I just stack haste and crit. So I'm assuming that'll be kind of the similar going into pre-patch. We'll see with the amount of changes happening to Shadow Priests.
Right.
It'll be curious.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of bad to say about gear other than the whole like I Azurite gear. It's okay. There's times where I think that it's a good thing. There's times where I think that it's something that we could have done without. Um, bring back, bring back sets. Like I want sets. I want sets back so bad. Like
I
I
think
can't
everybody
even.
wants sets back.
Yeah, like bring me back sets. Let me get my set. Um, and then the other thing is the loot system right now is rough for me. I've seen so much gear go to waste because I'm a tank, but I'm a monk tank, so I get agi stuff that drops for me all the time that I could pass to, one of our DPS because I'm not gonna use it, and because it was an item level upgrade for me, it's gonna go to waste. Like there's no reason for me to have it.
But so they did that because of the master looter problem, right?
Right.
So now if you open up and I'm not arguing for it one way or the other, more just devil's advocate, but it's one of those, if you open up the ability to trade items that are an upgrade for you, technically, via item level to someone else, you now can run back into the master looter problem in guilds of them requiring you to trade
Pass
gear
loot.
to whoever. In some circumstances, that'll be fine. You got a tight knit guild, everyone's on the same page. They know, they're pushing content. They want their tank to get the best gear first, or get this piece or that piece because it's a better upgrade. Like,
Right.
There's plenty of situations where that's going to work out just fine. There's also going to be situations where people are going to get screwed and basically threaten to get guild kicked if they don't give, so and so
Yeah, I can
the
understand
best
that.
item that dropped for them.
Yeah.
But because that guy, whatever the reasoning may be. So it's one of those, like, it's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't problems.
Yeah.
Because I
No,
agree. I
I
think
understand.
it'd be nice to be able to give stuff that you don't need. But I think you're just going to run into even if it technically, the game looks at it as an upgrade, you're still going to run into the same problem they're trying to get away from. I don't think that'll ever get changed.
So you think it'll be the same next X Pack?
I'd be surprised if they opened it back up.
See, I was thinking hopefully we would see something where it was like personal loot, but and what you're saying makes perfect sense, but personal loot, but you could trade if somebody was in your raid. But what you're saying, getting possibly G kicked for not trading loot or whatever, like we would never be like that. But
No.
I could see that being a thing. But like I've seen even in that, whenever you have a guild like our guild, I've seen times where we've had a hunter pick up a piece of gear, and the hunter's like, I have a 455. Yeah, this is an upgrade, but so and so has a 420, so we could give it to them, and it'll just increase our overall damage that much more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that feels bad because somebody's wanting to help the whole group progress, and they're not allowed. So
But
it sucks on both sides, though. You know what I mean? Like it sucks that they can't do that, and then with what you're saying, with the whole people getting G kicked for not giving up their gear, that sucks too. So
it's like my priest. I got the 470 Enzoth trinket this last week, right? And I have this 460 trinkets.
Yeah.
For Shadow. I go sim the Enzoth trinket. I can gain on a patchwork fight, which it never works out that way.
Right.
I can gain like 150 DPS is what it simmed to be
Yeah.
more. And it's like, that's an unused trinket that I have to pay attention to where the other ones aren't.
Right.
Why would I do that for potential
100
150
DPS?
DPS?
Yeah. Like what?
But it's a 10 item level upgrade, so I can't give it away. I couldn't even offer it to anyone.
Right.
Because I'm sitting there with it like, cool, all right, I'm stuck. So, now I've got this potentially great trinket for someone else that just sits in my bag because I don't need it.
Garbage. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucks because there's a lot of the times where I'll just keep them, just I don't know, maybe as a trophy, I guess. I don't know.
I've got, I think, 5 or 6 465, 470 trinkets on my priest. A couple of them I use for healing, but I can't bring myself to scrap them.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at it, you're like, this is
best for somebody.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
It's got to be good somewhere.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll go back and I'll sim it and be like, no, you're still just keep your 460s. Like,
yeah. And that's where I'm at right now on my monk is like, it sucks because I see gear. That's another reason why Azurite traits kind of bum me out is like, I got a piece of 470 or 475 from Residuum. I was like super pumped, but if you read anything, like there's no 475 gear that I'm going to take over the 460 raid gear. We're not a mythic raid team. I'm not going to get anything higher than what I have. So just to make myself feel good, I bought Residuum head, Residuum chest, Residuum shoulders, and I was like, oh, we're going to see what this rolls out. I've got a great DPS set now. Like, it's awesome. But none of it works for Yeah, none of it works for my main spec, and it sucks because I'm like, dude, I have 480s in my. I could probably be like almost 480 right now, like
Yeah,
pretty close.
my monk per gear in my bags is 477 item level.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'm at like
If
475 in my bags.
if I go and stack, but because of the Azurite trait problems, the big one for my Mistweaver spec, I'm stuck in the raid gear because you want the Heart of Darkness.
Yep,
Like that's the one. So
yep, and that makes it feel really. Uh, that I guess that's the gear right now. Like that's
but and it's frustrating because it's back to the I like the concept. I like the idea of corruption. I
yeah,
think it's cool. I think like the Slappy Boys, the Unjuant Caress, I think is really cool.
yeah.
That's a fun one to have. I think T devs are absolutely hilarious in Mythic Plus. Just
Oh yeah,
stacking T devs.
just watching it is funny.
Yeah, I think it adds to the game in a good way. The implementation needed work.
Right. Yeah.
Like
No, I would agree.
this month-long vendor cycle, especially the end of patch, right?
Right.
You know, my
No,
demon hunter sitting on 10,000 echoes, and I'm like, yeah, there's nothing I can, we've got a couple weeks till pre-patch at best.
yeah.
And it's like it'd be cool to just go stack some fucking T devs, crank
Just for
out
fun.
my corruption, and what's it matter? Like so the fuck
It's
what?
not
But
like you're
no,
trying for world first at this point. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
like open up the vendor and let us go ham right now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Before things go back to where we're actually grinding again. Like I
mm-hmm.
don't know about you, but I see these people like even now compared to when I came back. I see these people that are joining and getting their tunes to max level. They're just trying to come back for Shadowlands. They're hitting like 440, 450 in no time. Like there's no grind to do it. It's like
But
seriously handed to them.
they're gonna get kicked out of every heroic group.
Yeah,
Even at 450, 460 item level, if you don't have corruption, you're not going to be doing what everyone expects,
that's
and
true.
you're going to get kicked out of a group if you're not running with guildies who know.
That's true.
So it's one of those like right now, while this is when everybody comes back because they just announced it,
Yeah.
it's also kind of the worst time because you're going to fly up in gear level and then hit a hard wall of not being able to do anything until pre-patch
So
because of corruption.
do you think we'll see a big influx of people before pre-patch now that there is actually a date?
I think so. You're going to start see people getting on, running through, some of the story, catching up, seeing what they missed, yada yada yada. I don't think the raid scene's going to gain much. Mythic Plus might gain a little bit because you'll get higher end players coming back and just wanting to get in the groove of things.
Waiting for the next thing, just trying to get
Yeah.
ready. Yeah, that
Be like,
makes sense.
yeah, we'll go run Mythic Plus. Like, we'll get back into the swing of my class, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be. But I don't see the influx affecting specifically rating.
Right.
It'll just be a general.
I wish it
I
would.
would.
I
Oh yeah.
really do. I really wish we would see an influx of people that are looking to, even people that I would even at this point be like, yo, come check us out. Come hang out with us in Discord. You know, run heroic with us. Have some fun.
It would be
Because
nice to get people to see how they play,
right,
right? Because ignoring DPS at this point, we know no one's gonna. You're not gonna at this point. If you're just getting back, you're not gonna catch up.
right, it's not gonna happen
So it's one of
until
those
pre-patch.
get some new people in to see mechanically how they do.
Right.
Like, can you actually make it into the mount circles? Unlike me.
I wasn't gonna say anything about mount circles. Not today. I've had myself memed to death this morning. It's good.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So let's talk about pre-patch. What do you think about what they're doing with pre-patch? Are you excited for pre-patch?
Pumped.
Yeah, same.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm super pumped up. I'm actually pumped about seeing the leveling experience. Like I really, and you know me, like I don't level.
Neither one
Yeah,
of us likes
like
leveling,
I
please.
hate it. But to see that I'm gonna be able to start a tune, hit level 10, and then pick where I want to level, like I could go to Nagrand and level. Like I could go Sholazar Basin, right? Be like, yo, I'm gonna go Sholazar Basin, get done with Sholazar Basin, and then go to Nagrand. I love both of those zones. Like I think that they're super fun.
Yep.
Just skip everything and just go to those zones. Like I don't have to touch any of the stuff that I can't stand ever again. I might become a professional leveler.
You mean you don't want to do Hellfire Peninsula?
No, no, not really. See, Zangarmarsh never really bothered me. Zangarmarsh wasn't terrible.
It wasn't terrible, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it. I thought it was good. It was well done, but it wasn't.
The
It wasn't my
coolest
cup of tea.
the coolest thing about Hellfire was whenever you got done, you know what I mean? Like you had played and you were in Classic and you come to Hellfire, and yeah, I'm sure there were people that were like, "Oh, this sucks. This sucks. This is terrible." But coming into Hellfire and doing your first, I can remember doing my first round of quests and coming out with all greens that made me like shoot up, dude. Like I was in
Mm-hmm.
like big boy health, big boy damage. Like that was cool to me. Like I thought that was awesome. But other than that, I hated Hellfire. Like terrible. Even the
Well, so
dungeons in Hellfire were terrible. Like I just didn't like them.
I was rating like Molten Core and ZG
Yeah.
when BC dropped,
Oh, okay.
and so I had some purple. Like we were just getting into it. We were, I was
Yeah, and that's when
wasn't
purples were like,
full blue.
yeah, we got purples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. But so I wasn't full blues, but I same thing. You go in there and the power jump, getting the greens was just,
Huge.
it was cool.
Oh yeah,
It was
felt
really
good.
cool.
And then, dude, do you remember? I know this is a little off subject, but do you remember the Fell Reavers that you used to walk around out there?
That clapped your cheeks.
Oh my god. We got to 70 and I can remember like we got out of SSC, we were all geared and stuff, and like me and a group of my friends would go out into Hellfire and see who could get that Fell Reaver the lowest, and one of my Ret Pally buddies, he killed it. I was like, "No."
Oh wow.
Actually killed it. I was like, "There's no." I mean, he was geared to the teeth as far as you could, get in an SSC, but yeah, it was that. Oh, those were good times. That was really
Yep.
fun. I remember
Yep.
doing I still like doing stupid stuff like that. Like see what we can
Oh
solo.
yeah.
But yeah, back to pre-patch. Super excited. I seen. Have you done any of the leveling stuff on there at all?
I did most of the new zone.
That
But
what is that called? Exiles Reach? Or...
Yeah, the 1 to 10 zone.
Yeah. So did you
That,
finish it?
yeah,
I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's actually a dungeon at the end of it, and it's pretty cool.
that's what I heard.
It's
That
pretty neat. Took about 10 minutes. Like the whole dungeon took like 10 minutes, but it definitely gives new players the idea of what they're getting ready to get into whenever they get into a dungeon.
nice. Yeah, I plan. I'll probably check it out with pre-patch.
Oh yeah.
I know I've mentioned it probably multiple times, but I ruined Pandaria for myself with playing the beta too much.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to doing content before it goes to retail, I'm super iffy, especially when it's the questing, leveling type stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just can't do that. Like
Right.
I enjoyed doing it once and seeing the content once and the new stories and all that stuff. I thoroughly enjoy it. I hate doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the same
So
way.
I popped in to check it out, but it was one of those like I'm not gonna enjoy doing it a second time. So I figured I'd wait till it hits retail and then I'll dive into that.
Yeah. Jump
that
into
whole,
it and see what's up.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. And then did you see the zombie event on there at all? Like I don't know. It was terrible when I got on there.
I was only there for like 24 hours. Right?
It was terrible.
Oh, it was awful.
It was the worst thing ever. I hope it's not
was-
like that. I hope it's not. It had to be like overtuned. They were just testing stuff, something. Because I got on there and I logged into Borealis. I got bit by a zombie. I died. I turned into a zombie and I died again after I killed a bunch of people and turned them into zombies. And I came back and instantly got turned into a zombie again. Like it was the worst thing ever.
See, I made it all the way to Stormwind.
Oh no.
And then I made it to I forget who the quest was, but there was someone given the quest for that. And I made it there. I got turned into a zombie like 3 times, killed myself 3 times to get out of being a zombie. Went and like rezzed, hiding in a corner, hopped on my
Yeah.
mount to like. This one I was like, God, if this is pre-patch, this is gonna
Dude,
suck.
it had to be overtuned. Like they had to have it to where it's like we're testing it, we're turning it up so that like there's zombies everywhere. Like it had to
I
be.
don't, if they even if they do it for a couple days,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But there's no way that can be the pre-patch event.
Yeah, for like 2 solid months of I'm a zombie. No, that would be absolutely terrible. Let's talk about that video we watched today.
Oh,
That
the
is
Uther one.
yeah. That is so I love lore. Okay? I think lore is a great thing, but I've
Mm-hmm.
never been huge into lore, right? Like I've kept up with the story. Wrath of the Lich King was like definitely one of my favorite times in the story. I kind of skipped Kata, skipped Warlords. I mean, I know the gist of what was happening there. I really liked. I thought Pandaria was good. As far as a story goes, what was Legion? I thought Legion had a great story. I thought that was an awesome story. And then this X Pack I think is a great story. But I feel like after watching that video, we might get to fight Arthas again.
It kind of seems like it. It really
Like
seems like it.
Uther just threw him into the Shadowlands.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so good. Could you imagine? That was one of my favorite
I
fights ever.
never did it.
Lich King?
Yeah.
Oh,
I stopped playing before I got into Lich King.
oh, so good. Such a good fight.
But yeah, no, I in the same boat as you. I enjoy the stories. I've been trying to read up and like watch some of the people. I've started following like the Warcraft lore subreddit,
Yeah,
trying to dive into that because I do enjoy it. I just never got into it too much.
right.
But that video's got me super pumped.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm pretty pumped on it. After watching that, like I'm gonna be honest, like the biggest thing that pumps me up is that he threw Arthas into the Shadowlands, and there is a possibility we will see a fight with him or him somewhere in the lore of what we're getting ready to go to.
well, technically, he threw them into the Maw, right? Isn't that the
Yeah.
jail in the Shadowlands? And that's what they're saying is he was arguing that the their way of doing things is flawed because things or people are getting out.
So yeah, but I mean the jailer is kind of controlling
Yeah.
Sylvanas at this point. You know what I mean? Like he's a high influencer on her. So for him to be in touch with the jailer and then it's possible. It's possible to see, and that's exciting. That would be amazing. I think we're gonna see a lot of retouches of bosses that we fought previously because of what we're doing.
Which I know a lot of people are, my little brother's probably going to be at the peak of the list of people talking about, oh, we've already done this boss, we've already done this boss, we've already done this boss. But it's one of those like, I have no issue, partly because we're going to the Shadowlands, right? That's
Right.
if you kill someone, that's where they go. So it's one of those like, I have no issue running into them again.
Yeah.
The fight better be different.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I
100.
don't expect it to be the same, but that's kind of my standpoint. I don't mind, especially with how the story, they're not making some convoluted reason of why this boss that you've already defeated, no, literally went to where you sent them to. Like,
Right.
so as long as, new fights, I'll be good. I'll be excited. A bit of the like, what is it, Castle Naltheria?
Yeah. What I've seen of
Nathria?
it. Yeah. Oh god, it looks good.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of like Castlevania type stuff, and seeing what they're doing in there, like it reminds me, it brings me to like Castlevania stuff. So I'm like, dude, that's like I'm pumped. Like we're getting like a vampire Dracula, like really dark blood feel. Like I'm pretty pumped for it.
Well, and it seems like they came up with new assets for things too. Like
Yeah.
oftentimes you run into recolors, right?
Yep.
And I understand why. I don't particularly. I'm not one that gives two shits for the most part. If you take something and recolor it and slightly change it to fit the current stuff,
Right.
but I think the fact that they seem to be doing a lot of new assets for this expansion is exciting. I'm pumped about that.
See, and I agree. I think me and you have talked about it before that whenever you're looking at some of the artwork that they're releasing right now and showing off, we're not seeing, like I can remember Patchwork. Patchwork was he was a staple in anything that was undead. Like there was what did they call them, constructs? I don't remember what they called them, but the patchwork model literally filled anywhere that had undead. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
they were in the undead city, Undercity. They were in the undead district in Naxxramas. Like, and it was the same thing, other either bigger or smaller. That was the only
Mhm.
difference. So seeing that they did that for so many years and then looking at some of this new artwork, I can look at it and be like, yeah, I can see that there is some influence from what they previously had done, but it's completely different. It's not the same at all.
Yeah, and you're bound to end up with a similar art style, right? Like
Right.
that's pretty much a given.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm pumped. There was I forget which not is it the Venthyr? Is the Venthyr or the Necrolords? I read a cool article about or watched a little video about them talking how they came up with the design because they're a bigger humanoid. They didn't just take a model and go, okay, here's our normal model, stretch, now we're there.
Right.
Like they built a new model. It's arm proportions are longer, finger proportions are longer. Like they they actually made a new model for it, which I thought was really cool because
Yeah.
they tried they I think they said they tried just basing it off something they had and it just never looked right for what they were trying to go for.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done a really good job with their new artwork and stuff. Even up to Shadowlands, coming out with the Colterian, another human. Like it's another human. They look very human, but they gave him a completely different feel. Um, you can see the similarities between them and other races, but they've definitely taken time and focused a little more on making things unique this time around. Whereas before it was like I said, you were getting a lot of reskin, redone things. I'm pumped. I'm super pumped for it. So leading up to, from pre-patch we go into Shadowlands, which we have the release date for confirmed now. What were you thinking whenever you saw that? Because I didn't know anything about it until you and Rob said something, and I was like, no.
Um to be honest, that's kind of when I was expecting slash hoping for.
Right.
I know a lot of people were pushing for like a later November time frame,
Yeah.
and I think that's if you went and lined up, the apples from previous expansions, it kind of November would have been the smart guess. But it just the way everything had been going, I don't have a good reason why, but I was just one of those like it felt like it should be in October for me. That was
It's
just
very
like my
Halloween
like
feeling, anyways, right? Like Shadowlands. Like, come on, gotta
that's
have that
very true.
the
That is
Halloween
very true.
feel, and then you've got Shadowlands. Like, kind of
And
seems
it
like
was
it's perfect.
once the pre-patch hit PTR, it was one of those like it's got to be a lot closer than people are expecting. Was kind of my feeling because it's one of those like why are you putting that there if we've still got 2 months till because the assumptions pre-patch comes out a month early.
Right.
plus or minus some amount. But so if if it's in end of October, you're going to be mid to end of September. Now, if it was in November, like people were saying, pre-patch is going to hit October. You got 2.5 months, 2 months of pre-patch being in the PTR.
Yeah.
Like that just seemed a little ridiculous, in my opinion.
I agree. There was, a lot of discussion in guild, people saying that we were looking at hopefully November, and I was like, oh man, that feels bad. Like,
Yeah, there was
like
some people thought it was gonna be like December, January.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like people were like hopefully November, but I'm thinking December, possibly January, and I'm like, oh man, like, not saying that I would quit, but like we're at a spot right now where we're waiting, and
What are we gonna do for 4 months?
yeah, like that's so long. Like pre-patch comes out, it's gonna bring new life. Like it really is. I know that we're gonna be running the same raid or the same dungeons or whatever, but it's gonna be different because we have new spells, we have a new level cap. We're gonna be experimenting with different things. Like it's gonna be like college again. Giggity.
I've got 9 120s to figure out what I'm gonna play.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've got things to do. So the October release, I was super pumped for. Like
Yep.
super pumped. Now I noticed that last week somebody, one of our friends or somebody in guild, had bought Shadowlands. And whenever they pre-ordered it, they changed. Whenever I bought Shadowlands, the pre-order said released by December 2020. Whenever they bought it 2 or 3 days ago, it said released by November 2020. So I noticed that there was something, like there was a difference there. And then whenever I got on today and seen that October, I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like I'm so okay with this.
Yep. No, that's awesome. I'm pumped for it.
So for everybody that doesn't know, pre or launch day has been announced. It's going to be Pacific time, 4 p.m. on October 26th. European, what is that? CET, 12 a.m. October 27th. So everybody, make sure you're pre-ordering and getting ready for the launch because it's coming real soon. Super excited about it. Base edition $39.99 gives you early access to the DKs on all allied races and Pandaren, plus the new area for their starting zones. Heroic edition you get for $59.99 plus you get a 120. The flying mount and the quest line for the Eternal Traveler's Transmog Epic Edition is $79.99. That also includes everything that I just said plus 30 days of game time, and then you can spring for the 119 Collector's Edition, and that gives you a soundtrack and an art book. So be looking out for those. What do you think about character customization whenever all this stuff comes out?
Super pumped.
Yeah, I did. So did you notice that you can put like leaves in your hair?
I saw a post about that. I hadn't seen that.
So whenever I got on PTR, that was the first thing I did was I got on the character customization, and night elves you can put leaves in your hair and change the color of them. Coolest thing ever. Super pumped.
I did poke around a bit with it, and I know Loki was showing us stream some of the beta.
Yeah, he
and was
wouldn't
showing
stream
the
it for
character
me.
customization, and that was really cool. I'm pumped for what they've done with that.
Yeah, and
And it
some of
sounds
the
like it's just the tip of the iceberg.
yeah
They've got more planned. It's just this is what they kind of committed to.
yeah like you can actually color your eyes now, which is kind of cool. There's a bunch of new hair colors for each race. Um,
Gender changes are now free.
Gender changes are now free, so maybe Lotus will be a chick again one day. I don't know. Just saying, it's possible. Um, what else did they add for customization? So I know I haven't messed with it, but I know that now you're going to be able to change druid forms at the barber. Um, so you'll be able to, have like this looking bear, but this looking cat. Like you'll be able to change each druid form at the barber as well, which is something that I know that the druid community has asked for a long time. Like, let us change what we look like. Let us change our hair color on our bears. Let us do this. Let us do that. And finally, that's something that you're going to be able to do. So that's kind of cool too.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I know it seems like Blizzard's listening to feedback more. I know a lot of people are gonna. I've seen on forums and stuff. They're arguing that they're not because covenants, whatever. You know, people are freaking out about that on the forums. But it's one of those like overall, I think they've done a fairly good job listening to feedback regarding certain things.
Right.
I think certain things with every expansion, they're just too tied into even by the time it hits alpha and beta that you're just not going to change it easily.
Right.
So it's one of those like, yeah, you know, that might be the thing people don't like or whatever, but at least they're listening to what they can. It seems like,
Right.
anyways. Class changes all seem to be pretty unanimously liked from what I've seen.
The only one that I've seen that a lot of people are having problems with is rogues because they're really not getting much change. They're
Well, and Demon Hunter, Havoc Demon Hunter's getting slowed down.
yeah,
Last I heard,
and I have seen some complaints about them getting their mobility nerfed. So that's I mean,
I
but
mean, there's bound
how
to be
long have they
a loss
been?
somewhere.
Yeah, but how long have they been? Like ever since last X Pack, they've been the most mobile. Like they're
Mhm.
one of the most beastly in PvP because of their mobility. Like
Yep.
that's just like monk brewmaster monks. I seriously thought that this X Pack we were gonna see a huge brewmaster nerf because they've been top of the monk or top of the tank list for so long. The I can't tell you that that's not coming, but as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be that big of a nerf or that big of a change. But we'll see, I guess. I hope that it's not. God, I hope it's not. I would feel terrible. That would suck.
Yeah. You know, like I know, obviously the big one I'm pumped for is the Shadow Priest changes.
Well, yeah,
I
we
think
know.
that's going to be a ton of fun. It seems like, from what I've heard, shamans have gotten good changes. At least nothing bad. Druids seem, like I said, it's one of those. Most of what I've heard, it seems like everybody's getting decent changes. What Frost DKs are getting their two-hander back.
Frost DKs are getting two-hander. Monk tank, you're going to be able to dual wield one-handers again, which is
Ooh,
super sick.
that's exciting.
That's pretty cool. Um, what else was the changes? There was another change to Blood. Blood's gonna be able to dual wield, I believe. I believe Blood's gonna be able to dual wield too.
Mhm.
I believe that was something that I read. I could be wrong, but think that's I think that's what I read. So that would be cool. I know that there's been a lot of people recently that I've been, oh my god, dude, what is that? I'm sorry. I just came across something on WoW Hero. It looks like a shield. It's pretty amazing looking, not gonna lie. Have to check that out.
Oh, speaking of shields and such, the basic items,
Oh yeah,
the plain looking ones.
yeah, the ones that you get from the Exiles Reach.
Yep,
Yeah,
you can purchase those for T-Mogs for your other tunes.
yeah, yeah.
I am pumped for that.
Those. I don't know if like anybody else has looked at them, but I know me and Shrub were talking about it, and they're very high definition. Like I
Yeah.
love that they're getting a very high def look to things now. Like a lot of the new, like have you seen the new hair? Like the
Mm-hmm.
new like how it's very flowy and it's not like all jaggy and it looks it has texture. Like I love what they're doing with the new textures. Like it's
Yep.
pretty good. Here we go. I'm trying to see if Death Knights, if this tells me. I don't want to say something that I'm completely wrong about. Death
Then why do
Knight.
you speak?
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow. Guys, make sure you meme on your local shadow priests, okay? Like any shadow priest out there. Um Death Knight class changes: baseline Death and Decay, anti-magic zone. All Death Knights are getting anti-magic zone. Lichborn, Raise the Dead, and Chains of Ice.
Woohoo! I don't know anything about Death Knight, so I can't
Yeah.
really speak on that.
I kind of don't either. You know, it doesn't really say anything. Doesn't really say anything about. I could have swore I heard or read somewhere that they were getting dual wield back, which I mean would be cool. I remember seeing dual wielding.
Why? That's. I mean, that just comes back to, I think weapons should be opened up to more classes.
I think some weapons should be opened up to more classes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. There's certain weapons that I feel like need to be with certain classes, you know? Like, and not even just certain classes, but like pole arms, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that a priest should run around with a pole arm. Like,
No, but it's one of those, like, letting melee classes within reason have a two-hander or two one-handers. Like,
yeah,
if one of your specs is two-hander and one of your specs is two one-handers, like, why can't you make that work across both? Rogues sure keep, they kind of,
I take nothing for granted.
Daggers or for assassination and everything else for outlaw, but okay, that's kind of makes sense.
right.
The worst is my Shadow Priest stuck with freaking wand. I can't
I love
transmog
it.
to a staff.
I love it that every time that we get ready to pull a boss, you accidentally right click and it's just like one lone wand.
So I've never played a caster. This is the first expansion I've played a caster class.
Really?
That wasn't a healer. And so my default is to right click on things.
Yeah.
Because I'm never a ranged class. I'm always melee. So I just right click and then we go in.
Right.
So it's never been a factor in my life. And then when I started my priest, I didn't have a fucking wand.
Right.
So there was no problem. So I start playing Shadow and I've got the mace or whatever, and I'm going about my day right clicking on things to target stuff, and it's no problem. Then I get the wand. All of a sudden I'm like right clicking and I'm like, why can't I cast? Like, I right click and I can't cast right away. Well, it's fucking casting the damn wand. And I didn't know this. And I'm trying to figure out why it defaults to casting the wand. And then I started pulling raid bosses. And I'm like, what is going on? And someone's like, yeah, your wand if you right click. I'm like, oh, thanks, guy.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a rough one.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you haven't played a caster. I think you're right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure that's our show for today. I'm pretty sure we've covered like everything that we wrote here.
I think so.
I think we are pretty good. So any closing that you wanna say?
Despite what Lotus says, Shadow Priest is amazing.
Okay. That is to be determined, because yeah, it's not. But thank you guys for watching. We will be back next week with another episode. I think we're gonna try to do weeklies, right?
Yep.
Weekly episodes. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a comment below. And we will see you guys next time.